Hello and welcome to you all. We have seen a lot of crises since the World War II. Europe has been embroiled as the capital for World War I and World War II, distinguished of the fact that we are only focusing on war. We are not discussing anything else but war. According to somebody, if you translate water, water everywhere, but not a single drop to drink, today I would like to quote war, war everywhere, but not a single stand to stop it. A very good evening to you all, and my name is Paritesh Royal. I am an independent international lawyer and trying to prove my point through these videos. This series would be named as Dig Insights with Royal. My name and my work would be focused on international law and international relations in a different way that has never been spoken about. A way that I think it's not very applicable, it's not usable, but yes, some insights which nobody knew about, or if somebody knew about, have not told you in totality. Although I think that the war, it's either the Nicaragua case or the Russian Georgia and Russian Ukraine now, shows a path that there is something which is always lacking, is the international law that has been taught to us or that has been practiced in the world very much secured about security and safety as well as peace, what is mentioned in the United Nations Charter. According to me, it's not, because where peace and security is concerned, it's always war which contradicts with peace as well as security. Now if you talk about the current issues that are going on in the world, it's not only Ukraine issue that has been highlighted. It should always be remembered there are many more wars around the world that is going on. The ongoing war in Yemen, the ongoing war in Syria, and the ongoing war and its crisis in the African region, the ongoing war in the Indian subcontinent, the ongoing war in these oceans and seas, and rest and rest follows and follows. Now if we focus on one thing that is very much not detrimental to anything that goes on, and you cannot even take a 21-inch up or a 19-inch down the line, is the USCOGENS, or the common customary international norms, which are not to be broken by any country, despite the fact you are a big country or a small, it does not matter at all. Those are the 7 principles where the international law stands today, and very sadly to say that the world has not observed that properly. If you ask me, Ukrainian crisis has devastated a country which was still coming up well. Syria has been destroyed. You have seen many more countries which had a lot of heritage and lot of cultural insights which have not been in the process of being recovered till this point. The Security Council is not going to help us because Security Council is always involved in the war. Sometimes it's for, sometimes it's against. We don't know what is the stand until and unless there is a main stand for peace going on. I fail to recognize that the European standard of international law has given that standard of minimum measurement for peace and security as it had proclaimed. Whereas if you talk about now the ongoing issue, the ICJ and the ICC are taking steps to prosecute Russia for the actions that they have taken on the ground of war against crimes against war crimes. So if you talk about war crimes, wouldn't or shouldn't, as you like it, proclaim that it should be first the war on peace or crimes against peace, because it was before you have the war crimes or war crimes against humanity or genocide. There is also one more factor which was used in the World War II against Germany and the Japanese imperial the forces, that was war crimes against peace. So where is this gone from the heritage of international humanitarian law and international law as in total to explain the crimes against peace. We are focusing on war crimes, we are focusing on everything, but where is crimes against peace, which was the first step to seek a thing? Article 2 clause 4, which is use of force, can be used when there is something detrimental in the country and the country cannot stand up. It is according to me, and I think that it is appropriate only when they are not able to stand up against their own atrocities. Article 2 clause 7 of the United Nations Charter again says that non-intervention in the domestic policy of a state. Over here, I think everybody has violated this. Now everything in total is okay, and then you claim to have self-defense under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. You can claim self-defense either collectively or individually on the basis that you have been either hurt or you think that somebody is going to threaten you to be hurt or damage your country, or have some security issues and all those stuff. As I progress and I fail to understand that why people or the countries have only had sanctions of economic interest, rather than that they could have imposed something which is more strict in action, that is to take action on crimes against peace. If you interfere in somebody's country's matters, it is to be and foremost to be the crimes against peace. And if you talk about things that are going on now here and there, the NATO and the thing, the world will always have diplomacy as a standard, but in diplomacy people will die, and I don't think that diplomacy should make people and innocent people lose their life. Instead of that, I would have proposed a mutual understanding basis where the NATO, the Russians and the Ukrainians could come together, could ask for some solutions which are accepted by all. If not by the military and the soft power politics that could take place, it should be the international lawyers like us who can give a meaningful interpretation of things which are at hand going heavy. Now if you ask me, why do you think that international lawyers could do if nobody else can do? Well, I would say that sometimes interpretation of law and the interpretation in a way that gives mutual understanding with binding the history, political science and geography is what will make the world a safer place to live, rather than having these wars. I would also like to propose, not in full capacity but in whatever capacity I can, to have the NAM, non-alignment movement, as well as the trusteeship council again reignited with an intention to build a government or build a force of peaceful coexistence, as we as Indians and we as NAM associates had always practiced. It is very difficult to say that what would be the end of the war, how many people would become refugees, whether the principle of non-refoulement would apply or not, whether they'll get to go to the other country of safer haven rather than what it is right now being proclaimed by the other countries in the European belt where the Ukrainians have fled away, whether the Ukrainian government will redevelop their country, whether Russia will have the same amount of force which they have, whether China and Taiwan will have the conflict or not, whether we would see another world war or not. It's difficult to say, but to maintain peace, it's not always viable or advisable to go on with the terms of the others under the belt of diplomacy. It should always be mutual understanding, or in the terms, diplomacy is not what I prefer at all. I already said it was mutual diplomacy. If it is, it should be more on mutual understanding rather than diplomacy itself. And in the end, I would like to say that the strong hold of the other countries who are not the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, or when the joint session has been held for resolution 377 uniting for peace purposes, as it was there in Syria or in any other part of the world, I would like to say that there should be a check and balance moment in the veto and how veto has been used by the superpower nations. If the forefathers of the United Nations had thought that these powers should remain with the 5 countries who had been the eliminators of the Axis evil power at that point of time, I would suggest that the forefathers had forgotten that evil can be reborn anywhere in the world. It might be the country who was a bad nation back then, or it can be your own country who is a good nation right now. So, in that process, there should be a balance of this sort, and there should be a punishment severe to absolute liability, where the countries who are strong enough or who have been the permanent 5 members of the world in the United Nations should be under scrutiny, and they should penalize for every wrong and every moment where they have created a ruckus. The Trusteeship Council can be igniting force in it, where they can get down to the roots and work on the basis from the ground level till the administration, as they did before, but this time they'll try to make more of the benefits that nobody else can do. Regional organizations are also advisable to come up and to bring a peaceful solution to this whole matter. I propose that if the CIS and the other organizations other organizations who are in this belt come together and try to bring a solution where on the table, at the end of the day, you have a solution rather than having no solution. We need a solution not for ourselves, but for those who have severely been suffering. If people say that yes, a government has taken stand, the government would take stand only because the world needs it, or a nation needs it. But as international lawyer, I would like to say that we need solutions for peace which is not interfering with somebody's other matter, which is not even interfering with ours. If Russia says that it was interfering with them, the whole lot of army being sent to that place, and if by chance America says that it is their way of dealing with the countries in the European belt to form a NATO alliance, I think both of them, along with the Ukrainians, have suffered enough damages that cannot be recovered. Russia as in the military, Ukraine as in the country's property and people, and NATO as in their sanctions and their goodwill that they had in the world. In the end, it would be very difficult to say how the matters would be solved, how it would be resolved, but as if you ask me, as an international lawyer, we can provide some sort of bonding and mutual understanding if we understand the history, geography and the political science of that area, link it with new ideas and try to bring some type of coherence which is only for peace. I understand that war is necessary only when you have no other option left except to have a war. Whether war in Ukraine is justified, it's still not understood, and it's not clear for the moment whether NATO and the Russian-backed organization is fruitful for a country which is still, trying to get on its own. Is again a matter of Cold War, or again a matter of Third World War. It's not yet to be known. But for me, I think that the basis should work from international lawyer stuff, the peace process, the way they had been. Maybe there had been a lot of controversy between the gas stuff that they are doing with the natural gas and oil that they are supplying, the Nord Stream 2 project, and the other things that have been coming up lately. The backing is a bit difficult for us because we are trying to get the solutions as we can. The solutions are not what is based on the war. The solutions should be out of the box ways. Although I am disclaiming this, that there is no stand that I'm taking right now, neither behalf of Russia, neither behalf of Ukraine, neither behalf of the NATO and the US, but I am only taking a stand for humanity at large and international law to bring peace and security in the world. This is what I believe in, although you can say that as an Indian I would be more in front of some place and more in some or not, but right now it's only neutral effect, as Indians have practiced peace in the NAM, the non-alignment movement process, as well as in the Cold War situation where we were posted through the United Nations, either in the Nile dispute or either in some other dispute where India was, or either in the formation of the Afro-Indian unity, either in the process of making NAM, and either in the process of making the G77 and the NEO processes. I would like to state that we are only professing for peace. Peace is what is the solution. If there are problems with the solutions that can be offered by the big countries or the people who are all around the world, or the lawyers or anybody who interprets law, these courts and all, who do not want to get into the matter because the matter can escalate into a war-like situation, I would state that it is our duty to come forward and forge peace in a way that is appreciated by all, rather than being disliked by anybody. With this, I would like to state that the process is still in doldrums, and we need a lot to think about, a lot of future perspectives to be brought into the peace processes. Maybe a process which can bring everybody on the table, and maybe they smile at the end and have a cup of coffee or tea and sign the declaration that is for peace. It's not the country's government who faces all the problems. It's always the country, its economy and its people who face the problem at hand at last. With this, I would like to say that let peace be, and peace make humanity be alive in this world. With this is Pritesh Royal signing out. Bye.